Tonight on Ctv3 News, Department of the Environment investigates fish kill in Guinea grass along the New River. AMLO confirms Mexico to supply electricity to Belize despite increased energy demand. Man accused of brutally assaulting his 3-year-old stepson is taken to court. The Commissioner of Police prosecutes the case. And the redistricting case goes back to court. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024.
As I look out on the audience, I see many of the artists whose works are represented in this first display. My respect to each of you for contributing to Belize's creative and intellectual inheritance. I also offer my admiration and respect to those artists represented in the museum who have passed on. Their work lives on as sources of inspiration and education. And for the many hundreds of artists who are not in the first show, I say that it is not our intention to develop a culture of exclusion or gatekeeping. Just the opposite. We see this space as one of liberation.
Fast approaching. Pro FC is back in Orange Walk Town on Saturday, June 15th, inside the Orange Walk Multi-Purpose Complex, exclusively on Channel 53 on Centaur.
I've been a member of St. Francis Xavier Credit Union since it opened its door in 2004, so it's 20 years. It was only yesterday I was talking to my grandchildren about it, 2 of my grandsons. I was talking to them about the credit union, that it's good because as the past, you have heard they say, money doesn't grow on tree, but it does. In your shares, you see the growth of your money there, and you can save. You think about retirement and all the other benefits the credit union offers, what they call the womb to the tomb. So, and the service is very good. I like it.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Over the weekend, there was a small fish kill reported in the community of Guinea Grass here in the Orange Walk district. The weekend's event was reported by the village council, who noted that the New River near the community park was discolored and fishes were floating on the water. After receiving reports of the issue, today the Department of the Environment was in the village carrying out their investigation to determine the cause for the fish kill. Taking samples of water from the river in the area and also aerial footage, DOE says the fish kill was most likely caused by the ongoing heat wave coupled with bushfires in the area, which decrease oxygen in the water.
Yes, we received a complaint of fish kill in the area, and as such we're doing a preliminary assessment of the water, on-site readings, just to see more or less, the temperature, the dissolved oxygen, suspended solids, and so on, and also just to take some aerial images of the surroundings, due to the intense heat and a lot of forest fires happening across the country. Just want to see more or less if any areas along the river banks have been burnt, and along with any discharge points, from residential or crops and so on. So for the most part, on our readings, where readings are not that bad as in the past, based on our statistics. The aerial images show some burnt sites directly, close on the banks, the river banks, and so that could have caused some increase in the temperature and the smoke, hovering over the river and reducing the dissolved oxygen in the water. So for the most part, that's what we can see for the moment.
Based on weather trends and reports from the Meteorological Service, DOE says the peak of the heat wave is expected to be over, and thus the situation in the area is also expected to improve in the coming days.
Well, for the most part, hopefully not in the near future, because the peak, I think, based on our expectations, has already been declining. But previously, yes, we have accepted some complaints. We received some complaints about fish kill in the southern parts, and similarly, it resolved from the intense forest fire and fire that have been set intentionally. And so I believe the worst case scenario have already passed, and so for the moment, we're just trying to see some certain hot points across the country.
And while the river conditions in the area of Guinea Grass does not seem to be dire at this time, the department is advising residents to stay out of the river and refrain from fishing in the area for the time being.
Yeah, well, for the most part, as I mentioned previously, the on-site parameters, the readings that we have received just a while ago, are not that bad, put in simple terms, no? Next week, we'll actually conduct an assessment on the entire New River, no? And so off of that, then we can see more or less, where the hot spots and where would be, well, a little worse than others. And so from that, then we can give more in-depth review of and a report of the quality of the water. Water in terms of the coloration, it's a bit darker than usual times. And so, for the meantime, yeah, we would suggest that that the villagers don't enter the water and try to minimize the use of the water. Although it's quite hot, we're trying to exercise precautions to enter in the water.
Since 2019, the Department of the Environment has been carrying out quarterly monitoring along the New River. Based on their findings, the department says the condition of the river has seen significant improvement in the last few years.
Yes, definitely. The department from, I believe, 2019, and previously, we have been conducting quarterly monitoring of the New River, starting from in Church at Corazal Bay. And certain parameters that we look forward, we actually take is on site is the temperature, the dissolved oxygen, the turbidity, and then in the lab we also do in-house water assessment. And that refers to mainly bio oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand. And so those are the main parameters that we expect to review in the next week.
If you're able to say, I know that in 2018, 2019, and the river was in one of the worst conditions that it had been seen. From then to now, have you guys been able to see improvements in the river and the situation within it?
Yeah, our statistics show that during the dry season, is when we usually get lower readings than in the more wetter parts of the year, And so, for the meantime, yes, we can assure that the water quality has improved over the last few years.
Comprehensive monitoring is expected along the entire length of the New River to the Corazal Bay in the coming weeks as the peak of the hot season is upon us. The High Court of Belize today heard the application of the Belize Peace Movement, who is asking the court to declare that the consent order of November 11, 2022, ordering the Elections and Boundaries Commission, EBC, to withdraw electoral boundaries per the Constitution as void due to the substandard performance of the Commission. If successful, the claimants will ask the court to declare that the current voters list is unconstitutional and is unsuitable for use in the next general elections. The claimants are also asking the court to order the Elections and Boundaries Commission to submit new proposals to the National Assembly that will be of constitutional and international standard. This case is being held online rather than in person. The Commission and the claimants entered into a consent order in which the Commission acknowledged that the Commission needed to do its job under the Constitution. This meant that the Commission was to make the 31 divisions of Belize nearly as may be an equal number of persons eligible to vote. By this undertaking, the Commission admitted that there existed severe disparities among Belize's electoral divisions. The consent order resulted in the Commission presenting proposals for redistricting to the National Assembly, which, when done, the claimants rejected as a breach because the proposals failed to meet the standard of the Belize Constitution and international standards. After almost 1 year, the National Assembly has not seen it fit to table and debate the proposals. In arguments this morning, attorney for the Belize Peace Movement, Arthur Saldivar, argued that with 30% of the national population, Belize district has 42%, or 13 of 31 electoral divisions, compared to Cayo district, which has 24% of the population but only 6 divisions. This represents an equality that translates to distribution of resources and the individual value of each voter, says Saldivar.
The ask is that Section 90 be complied with in a subsequent report and proposal, so that Parliament is not hamstrung in carrying out its responsibility to debate and enact a new law that would then form a new schedule to the ROPA. The schedule to the ROPA basically lays out the number of divisions and the number of electors in those divisions. So it stands as an illustration of the malapportionment that exists. Where that schedule is to be used for subsequent elections, where it is clear the court that the malapportionment renders it undemocratic, and the Constitution states that we are a democracy, it is incumbent then on the court, in its inherent jurisdiction, to make a determination. What the other side was arguing was that somehow, looking after the interests of the voters and ensuring that their vote has equal weight and they have the protection of the law that the Constitution guarantees, is equated to an action involving how members are elected to Parliament. No, this is not about that. This is about equal representation, equal protection of law. And by virtue of what exists in the ROPA, that is not possible.
Whether possible or not, the defense contends that the Elections and Boundaries have complied with its obligations by providing proposals to the House of Representatives. On the other hand, Saldivar explains that the 2022 redistricting consent order must be enforced, since failure to do so will result in the repeat of a constitutional crisis.
We have 3 branches of government, Marisol, right? The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, right? The legislature has its function, which it has autonomous control over. The executive has its function, which it has autonomous control over, and the judiciary has its function. Where the executive, in this instance the cabinet, right, has not advanced for debate a particular piece of bill, the court cannot compel it to do so. right? All the court can do is wait to see what is done. And after it's done, the court has the inherent right to look to see if the act of parliament is in conformity with the constitution of Belize. That is after that process is concluded. In this instance, the document, which Election and Boundaries call the proposal, has been placed before Parliament. All the court can do with that document is wait to see what Parliament does. Parliament may decide not to do anything, which is the fear of the claimants. Parliament may decide, oh, we don't care to mess with this. We already see that this is not meeting the standards, so why fool with it? So the court would not be in a position to address that particular document. So we cannot ask the court to do that. What we're asking the court is, since it is established that that document is a nullity, one that has no legal weight because it's not in conformity with Section 90, then look at the schedule, which will be the base upon which another election is likely to be called. Look at that schedule, because that is the schedule that Election and Boundaries, not Parliament, Election and Boundaries will be utilizing. So you may not be able to move Parliament to do anything, but you can stop Election and Boundaries. And that's what we're saying. Stop Election and Boundaries from abusing the rights of the Belizean people. Because you're making some people more important than other people in a country where there is a provision in the Constitution that guarantees equal protection of law. That's within the purview of the claimants, and that's what they've done.
But the defense is arguing that the expert failed to come to Belize and be on the ground. But for Saldivar, that statement is baseless.
The statement or the assertion made by the respondent that the expert did not come to Belize is baseless. Within the expert report, he does state that he had assistance of locals going on the ground and doing what needed to be done and looking at where these divisions conjoin. So it's right within the report that, yes, there were people on the ground doing these things. I have never seen Mr. Sabida doing anything out there. I've never seen any member of the commission doing anything out there. They use technical people on the ground doing and getting these data for them. So it's the same thing that the expert did. He had people come to Belize, go and look, find where the configurations and the borders coincide and what have you. And he gave a report, and he used also technology. You see, we're in the technological age, and there's a thing called Google Earth that can beam in from the satellite and come right down to Belize and magnify all of the features. And he never recommended that Fort George be joined with Kikaka, way across the sea, about what, an hour and a half away from here. Fort George abuts Caribbean shores, it abuts Quickstock Division. You can go to those two divisions, gain people, and make Fort George bigger. You can take Quickstock, which abuts Lake Independence, expand its borders into Lake Independence and make that bigger. You can take Caribbean shores, which abuts Freetown, go into Freetown and make Caribbean shores bigger. You can take Collet, which abuts Alberts, abuts Port Loyola, extend those boundaries, make that division bigger. You can take Port Loyola, push it all the way up into Mile 8 and make it bigger. You can take Freetown, push it up into parts of Ladyville, make it bigger. Those options are there. Or if you want to be reckless expand the number of electoral divisions more than 31, bring up maybe 33 or 35, and you can then bring some equality by increasing the number. Section 90 in the short note is the increase of electoral divisions, But as I stated, if the if the Constitution allows an increase, it impliedly allows a decrease.
Answering the arguments of Arthur Saldivar, Assistant Solicitor General Samantha Matut contended that the Elections and Boundaries Commission having done its job, it is now time for Parliament to do theirs. Matut characterized the application of the Belize Peace Movement members as misconceived and argued that the court, even with inherent jurisdiction, should not intervene in a parliamentary matter. The applicants, she said, had not challenged whether there was compliance, only whether the compliance matched their standards. The redistricting of electoral divisions also pays heed to physical boundaries and transportation of voters at election time, something the Sean Trent's export report before the court did not consider. Justice Nadine Nabi, presiding, indicated she would have a decision within a month. The report has been tabled at the National Assembly since last July, needing only parliamentary approval to become a law. Blackouts recently affected many parts of Mexico as demand for power increased amid hot weather, but the country will nevertheless supply electricity to Belize. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador announced the decision on Tuesday to the press. The announcement comes at the heels of a meeting held between Prime Minister John Briceño and Obrador in Mexico City on May 7th, and Belize's ongoing energy crisis, and explore ways to secure a more reliable and affordable energy supply for Belize was discussed. We're going to fulfill the agreement so they don't lack electricity in Belize, said Obrador. Here is that statement.
Acabamos de tener una reunión con el primer ministro de Belice y hay un acuerdo con ellos de ayudarles también con energía eléctrica, aún con esta situación especial por el calor, se va a cumplir con el acuerdo de ayudarles para que no les falte la energía eléctrica. En el caso de Belice, son pueblos hermanos, somos vecinos y tenemos que ayudarnos mutuamente.
While Lopez Obrador didn't say how much electricity Mexico would supply to Belize, that information was provided by Prime Minister John Briceño after he met with Obrador and the head of the Comisión Federal de Electricidad in Cancun on May 11th.
Yeah, what we did is when I met with the president in Mexico City, he invited me to join him in Cancun, where he had when he every 2 weeks he goes to look at the Tren Maya project. And so he invited different ministries and the head of CFE to be able to meet with us. We had a chance to meet with the president and the head of CFE, and they have agreed that they will work with us to continue to provide energy. As you know, well, probably most people don't know, but we have a maximum of 55 megawatts of energy that we can buy. Now what the president offered us to be able to increase it to by 20 more, so we'll be able to buy approximately 75 megawatts. And we'll be working with CFE now to also to run a second line into Belize.
Since the start of May, there has been increased police presence here in the north, particularly along the illegal crossings between Belize and neighboring Mexico. This came about as a result of increased tensions in neighboring Tutamal following the execution of a police officer who was killed in broad daylight on Avenida Insurgentes in late April. Fermin Cortez Burgos, who was the commander of the Secretariat of Citizen Security and the former director of the Cancun prison, was fired at as many as 40 times. That killing was coupled with increased street crimes and violence believed to be the work of cartels in the area. After several weeks of heightened security, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams says that all indications are that tensions in Chetumal are quelling, and with that also the increase in crimes in the area. Despite that welcomed update, Campo Williams says the increased presence continues along the borders in Belize.
The situation in Chetumal certainly has decreased tremendously. We're not hearing much about the activities of the cartels in that city, and so that is something good for us. Notwithstanding that, though, we still maintain our strong presence along our borders, both irregular and regular crossing areas. Again, maintaining the integrity of our country is important to us, and so our actions not going to be dictated by what happens in Chetumal, but basically what we believe is in the best interest of our people.
Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, during an interview with the media today, also spoke about a case of a police officer here in Orange Walk Town who is facing charges after he discharged his weapon in a public space. Now, while the officer has been criminally charged for the offense, indications are that he is claiming that he is being unjustly prosecuted as he only fired a warning shot on the ground following a situation with a civilian. The matter, according to Campbell, is before the courts and must take its due course.
The police officer is accused of discharging his firearm in public. There was some issue with him and some other individual, and that occurred. The policy always is that once we have a complaint, we take the matter before the court, and the court decides, because we don't want to ignore because one side decided don't want nothing, and then something happens afterwards, then they say, oh, the police knew, but the police did nothing. So our thing is to charge, have the complainant go before the court and withdraw the matter, and then we proceed from there. Mr. Reyes is no exception to the rules, and again, when it comes to police officers, we must be even more tougher, because as law enforcement personnel, we have a duty to uphold the law, and we must always ensure that what we do is in the best interest of the organization that we serve, as well as in the service to the people that we serve.
He said he fired a warning shot towards the ground. He wasn't...
I am not aware of that being a warning shot, or what justification there were for a warning shot to be fired. I don't know of that. But if he's been sought by the police in Orange Walk, my advice to him is to please go, surrender yourself, and let the law take its course. If it is that the people that are aggrieved by his conduct want to go to court and withdraw, he can have them go with him to court and withdraw the matter there and then. He will not have to go to jail if he gets the person to go to court and withdraw the matter.
Coming up next, man accused of brutalizing his 3-year-old stepson pleads guilty to charges levied against him. We take you to the city where the Commissioner of Police prosecuted the case. Stay tuned.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize.
Hey there, smart thinkers. We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a Lone Ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced, full, high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
No, I can't leave this plan. I can't leave this plan.
Pro SC is here on Saturday, June 15th. Pro SC is back in Orange Walk Town inside the Orange Walk Multi-Purpose Complex. Pro SC 12. Vasquez versus Aguilar. For the main event, we have the 145 pounds professional MMA fight between undefeated Belizean MMA star Frank Mac Vasquez versus Mexico's Ari El Trompito Aguilar. We also have 8 other exciting MMA fights, including Orange Walk's very own 135 pounds champion Jalen Perez, as he takes on the #1 ranked fighter in Central America, Christian Centeno from Nicaragua. In a fight that will determine the #1 bantamweight in the entire Latin America region. It's going to be a night filled with exciting MMA action from start to finish. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and the event starts at 7:30 p.m. sharp. General admission tickets are available at the Shell One Stop gas station in Orange Walk Town or from any Pro FC fighter. VIP tickets are by WhatsApp reservations only. 670-0716. Pro FC, Belize's premier MMA league.
After being charged with common assault, today 33-year-old Devian Flowers of Neils Penn Road in Belize City was additionally charged with 2 counts of cruelty to a child after authorities conducted further investigations. Flores was detained after a video circulating on social media showed him brutally assaulting his 3-year-old stepson on the street. Flores was arraigned this afternoon at the Belize City Magistrates Court before Justice Baja Showman and pled guilty to both counts. The prosecution was led by no other than the Commissioner of Police himself. Today he told the media why he found it important to prosecute the case himself.
It's a very important matter, I must say. It involves a 3-year-old who has been abused obviously by a 33-year-old. And I think that when we have situations of such, the police department as well as any other organization that has to do with upholding the rights of children, we must do our best in making sure that those persons who are responsible are brought to justice. Over and over, we're seeing that our young people are being abused in various ways, shape, or form. And as a responsible organization, we will always do our best working in conjunction with other organizations such as UNICEF, Department of Youth Services, NCFC, etc. So we have to make sure we do what we can to protect our children. We must send a strong signal to abusers of children that, you know what, we are not playing, we are serious about this.
Explain the process of how this was upgraded from common assault to these more serious charges.
Well, after having viewed the video footages myself, I believe that the charge of common assault was inadequate. It was basically putting a slap on the wrist of the perpetrator, and so I had directed the investigators to do further work to gather more evidence and record more statements. That was done yesterday, and I must commend the officers from Domestic Violence Unit for responding quickly to my request. Having obtained the requests from them, I communicated with the Director of Public Prosecution, and we both agreed that the charges should be upgraded from common assault to that of abusing a child, basically.
Sir. For the Compole, Flores should not only face a fine for his actions, hence why he is asking for a custodial sentence, which could be for up to 10 years.
I don't think that this is an offense that requires a fine. If a matter of fact, the offense under Section 60, subsection 1 of the Criminal Code clearly states that it has a minimum sentence of 10 years imprisonment. But we do know that even though that is stipulated by law, the magistrates still have that discretion that they can exercise in not giving a custodial sentence, and hence the reason I indicated to the court my intent to seek a custodial sentence when the day of sentencing comes.
Flores appeared unrepresented today in court. Reports indicate that by agreement with the child's mother, Flores and his mother would take care of the child while the mother was at work. In summarizing the facts of the case, Williams said when the police presented the videos to the mother, she expressed shock that Flores would act in that manner. Nonetheless, she did not request court action and said the child will be returned to his father. She also shared that on one occasion, as she arrived from work and was using the bathroom, she heard screaming and ran out to find out that Flores had slapped the child. She told the police he blamed it on an argument he had with the 3-year-old. No injuries were observed on the child. And as Flores awaits sentencing, the commissioner hopes that the message being sent to child abusers is one of zero tolerance.
There are many people out there who are constantly abusing children, many of which is not known to the public, and I hope that they come more and more known to the public so that we can address them. It's the only way that we can deal with the issue of child abuse. Again, we're seeing a trend where our children are traumatized. These traumas are as a result of them being abused by people who are very close to them. And if it is that you are a person who has charge of a child, it is expected that you will do what you can to keep that child in good health and not to put the child at risk of harm or even death. So I hope it sends a very strong signal to all those persons who are not known openly to be abusing children, that you know what, you need to stop. I am not going to use mental health because I think that we tend to flaunt that mental health issue around too much. And I think that when we use it at times, it's like finding justification for the actions of people who know exactly what they're doing.
Flores' sentencing is scheduled for June 3rd. And sticking to the subject of child abuse, the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs and the National Commission for Families and Children have reiterated that abuse of any child is not acceptable and denies their right to a safe and nurturing environment. The ministry and NCFC are asking families and communities to raise awareness and educate themselves and others about signs of child abuse and available resources, provide safe environments for children that allow them to speak out and where adults can properly respond, support survivors of abuse in their healing and rebuilding, and most importantly, holding the perpetrators accountable, especially by criminal prosecution. The Ministry of Human Development and the Police Department continues to work closely together to protect children from abuse or neglect. Through this multi-sectoral response, we have been able to prevent further abuse and provide timely support and resources for affected children and their families. We urge communities to be more vigilant and report any suspected cases of child abuse or neglect to the appropriate authorities. We invite all members of the community to join us in our efforts to create a safer environment for children. Together we can make a difference and ensure that every child can grow up free from fear and violence, the joint statement concludes. On Tuesday's newscast, you heard from the leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow, who claimed that local carrots are currently rotting in the fields as local farmers are unable to market their product since the Ministry of Agriculture has allowed the importation of produce. Well, today the Ministry of Agriculture has fired back, calling the claims made by the opposition as irresponsible, baseless, and libelous. In a release by the ministry, it clarifies that no import permits for carrots have been issued since November 2023 and that all carrots currently on the market are of Belizean origin. The current market situation with low prices due to high supply, according to the release, is attributed to a temporary oversupply caused by overlapping harvest cycles in Orange Walk, Corozal, and Cayo districts. The ministry explains that the overlapping cycles are a result of a prolonged dry spell and unseasonal rains from June to December 2023, which affected the planting of carrots in late 2023 and early 2024. The statement further emphasizes that the ministry conducts regular meetings with farmers on issues such as climate change, market conditions, and planting cycle programming. The ministry reiterated its commitment to supporting Belizean farmers and ensuring their viability and success. The National Institute of Culture and History, NICH, through its Institute of Creative Arts, is inviting musicians, performing artists, and songwriters to submit their songs for the National Song Competition 2024. The aim of the competition is to provide professional and amateur musicians with the opportunity to create and showcase original songs, promotes artistic expression, national pride, and Belize's diverse culture. This year, however, the word Belize does not have to be included in all the lyrics of the song. Kim Vasquez, director of ICA, explains.
The Institute of Creative Arts does this competition, national competition, in collaboration with the National Celebrations Commission. And so it is a highly anticipated event on the celebrations calendar of events. And this year we are looking at an earlier date. We are looking at the 16th of August as the final competition here at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. Last year we unveiled a new format for the competition, and we continue to promote that format. Again, the reason we do this is to promote the development of the music industry and to advance Belizean music both locally, regionally, and internationally. One thing we want to stress this year and to keep repeating is that you do not have to put the word Belize in all the lyrics of the song. It is a national song competition, and we want to see the reflection of Belizean culture and identity in the music, but that can come in through the instrumentation, in the composition. It can factor in the lyrics, but this is where the competition is it's a very competitive, very technical competition, because we're looking for that high level of creativity. You can choose any theme, any topic, but you find a way to work it in there where it fits within the vision of the National Song Competition.
With a first prize of $20,000, entries must be original compositions that previously released.
And we hope that our musicians from across the country will participate. Open in any language, Spanish, Garifuna, Quechua, any language, a hybrid, a mixture. You're free to be as creative as you want and to just work and request the guidelines so that you can see the full criteria and the rules and regulations. You will need to submit an MP3 version of your song, and you can submit up to 3. But of those 3, only 1 will be selected to the finals. So you can, like I said, up to 3 entries, 1 will advance to the finals, if any at all. You need to also submit a lyric sheet. There are some other requirements. Again, this is a professional level. This is to really push artists to really excel, to be export ready, to be out there and have all of your background information relevant. So we ask for things like an electronic press kit, or at the very least a bio. You know, can you give us your artist bio? Can you give us a link to your website? If you don't have these things, this is a way now you have enough time to start preparing and gathering all your information, because once Niche receives the entries, we will then promote them. And we want to put out the competition early this year so that we can get the music into the public longer ahead of the September celebrations.
The competition is open to both upcoming and established musicians.
The first thing you need to do is to reach out to ICA, reach out to our program officer, Mariah, and request that information package so that you can go over the criteria, go over the guidelines, see what the judges are looking for, and that you can be prepared. And then you have until the 27th of July to make your submission with your entire package completed. Do not be afraid to come and participate. Yes, we make it an open call. It is a level playing field. And we do want to encourage veteran artists. We hope that Marlene Vanson, who won last year, we hope that she will come back and compete and maybe defend her title. But anyone can participate.
The competition is open to Belizean musicians age 18 and older. Deadline for submissions is the 27th of July, 2024. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
ITSAT STEM Academy is a 4-year government high school that does focus on science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics, which is called STEAM.
Before this, I've been to other high schools and primary schools, and just being here feels so much more different. But my experience with STEAM in a whole, I love it.
ITSAT STEAM Academy, we are inclusive.
Females in robotics, I think that we could have a lot of success. This has been the best experience school life I've ever had. It brings out your creative and innovative side in almost all subjects. In fact, in all subjects.
My experience at STEAM Academy is stunning.
Our students will, I hope, tell you that they are happy to be here, because from the moment they set foot in the campus in the morning to the moment they leave, they're engaged in interesting activities which have real meaning to their lives. And by doing this, the learning is much deeper, more effective and long-lasting.
The National Trade Union Congress of Belize has long been clamoring for the passage of the OSH bill. Earlier this year, Cabinet announced that it has approved workplace safety measures through OSH bill amendments. Since its approval, the bill is being revised by the Attorney General's Ministry before it is presented to the House of Representatives. President of the NTUCB, Luke Martinez, today spoke on the recent strides being taken to have such an important piece of legislation enacted in Belize's constitution.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is not the first ministry who would make such a decision, no? Fortunately, at this point for us, that is not a done deal. And so there's a window of opportunity for us to make a strong appeal to, well, demand to the Prime Minister and his cabinet to, for them to understand the importance for us to safeguard our national assets. In this case, it's the Belize Telemedia. We know that government has majority shares in BTL, and the failure of BTL has rippling effects, right? You have Social Security, who is heavily invested in BTL, as we stated in our letter, and we can't allow Social Security investments to fail, right? And then we look at the social aspects of such decision. We have workers at BTL who we represent, and at Social Security by the same token. But there's more a national interest in terms of the social protection that Social Security offers. So it's important for us to gauge these types of decisions. The Office of the Contractor General, we know that these contracts needs to go to that office. These oversight bodies continue to be heavily understaffed and not properly financed, right? So budgeting definitely is a concern. So the Prime Minister and his cabinet needs to, I wouldn't even say reconsider, not support such a decision. And by that same token, we implore upon the management of BTL to offer the best possible packages for government, right? So look, sustainability is very important. The Ministry of Labor, first of all, let me express condolences to the family of the young man who fell to his death. We express our sincere condolences to him and his family, his co-workers and friends. The Ministry of Labor had prepared a cabinet paper and they had submitted that cabinet paper to cabinet, and the directives were for them to send the bill to the Attorney General's ministry. This was in February. There was a timeline of 3 months. You know that we're at that 3 months timeline. We had written to the National Trade Union Congress, to the Attorney General, and they basically told us that we'd have to, the process is that we'd have to request an update from the Ministry of Labor. Right, so basically the bill is still being reviewed at the Attorney General's ministry. I want to take this opportunity to implore upon the Attorney General to get that process done rapidly, so that we could have the bill go back to the Ministry of Labour, Labour Advisory Board recommendations to the Ministry, and then back to Cabinet for them to table the bill at the House now. And these are just the beginning steps of what could be a mitigating tool for some of the unnecessary deaths and injuries that are occurring in the workplace. So we'll have regulations that would be following, as well as inspectors to ensure, OSH inspectors and specialists to ensure that the bill is operating, which means that for the next budget cycle, the government would have to heavily invest in the Ministry of Labour.
High-ranking police officers were engaged today in a media training. According to Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, the department found it necessary to offer senior commanders a crash course on how to deal with the media and even offer interviews.
The objective again is to sensitize our senior command in terms of how to work with the media, responding to the questions from the media and the likes. As you all know, we're not hostile to the media. We try as best as we can to be friendly with you all. Even when you become a pain in our butts, we don't reciprocate in like manner, right? we try to be calm. So we're hoping that from this training, we'll find that our officers are going to be able to respond to the media in a much more better manner. The time where the police run from the media needs to come to an end. We want our commanders across the country to be able to represent their respective area when it comes to giving interviews to the media. So that's the direction we're trying to go.
And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, May 23rd here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.